Welcome back to 5-Day Crypto. In this video, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, primarily focused on Bitcoin as of now because it's the market mover. We all know that by now, right? What Bitcoin does, the rest of the market tends to do in an exaggerated way. So focusing on Bitcoin on the daily chart to start us off. Then we'll look at the 5-day, the weekly charts. We'll look at some patterns playing out. My general thoughts. Maybe peek at the DXY. If you want to stick around, good. Thumbs up, follow, Telegram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Link below. Let's get rolling. Bitcoin on the daily chart to start us off with. So zooming in here, what do we have to look at? Well, we haven't been able to get above the 21-day EMA and the yellow or the median Bollinger Bands here. This purple line is the median. Also, the 20-day simple moving average, if you didn't know that. And it goes that way on the weekly as well. So this will be the on the weekly chart, this would be the 20-week SMA, and then the 21-week EMA in the yellow. So if you have both of those, you don't need them. The Bollinger Bands do that for you. So those are two important lines, as you can see, right? We've made several attempts to get above one or both, and a wick, sure, but closes are the important part because that tells the big story. So until we do that, it's best to be just risk off. There'll be plenty of upside if we start to do that, right? And what are the chances of us doing that? Well, your guess is as good as mine, right? Nobody knows for sure. Anybody that's saying something's got to happen for sure in crypto or trading, period, just run away because they blatantly don't know what they're talking about, right? However, we got to remain more bearish than bullish because of that. We're in the lower section of the Bollinger Bands on the daily and the weekly. We've been unable to close anything above the 21-day, above the median line on the Bollinger Bands. So until those things start to happen, you got to be leaning more towards the bears. You got to, as a pro trader, as any kind of trader, if you want to be better, you need to be looking at both sides, the bulls and the bears, weighing the evidence for both, and then simply lean to whatever has the most evidence. Forget your narrative or someone else's narrative on Reddit or Twitter or YouTube. Forget all that. You need to focus on the price charts, what has the most evidence, and that's what you go with, plain and simple. If you're doing anything else, you're doing yourself an injustice. So anybody that's still screaming super bullish, I would love to see more proof of that because I do not see more. I see more evidence towards the bears than bulls, but there are some signs of light. We'll get into that on the daily chart. Let's get to looking. So what do we have here? Well, we broke down from our ascending triangle, right? We broke down right here. We had maybe a couple days to get back above it, and we didn't do that. So that was the rejection. We held under the EMA 8, which is the red line. Usually when you're really bullish on any coin, especially Bitcoin, you'll tend to hold above that on any drawbacks. When you start to close below it with a couple candles, that's when the trouble can start to brew. And then especially when you start to cross these moving averages, you want to be careful. So that's where we are right now. However, on this daily chart, see this this kind of downtrend here? And then since that kind of the flagpole down here, on the daily, we're going to look at the daily and the weekly, right? We're looking at this, right? This, and then you got this kind of like a little wedge kind of formation happening here, right? See that? That tends to be a little bit more bullish than bearish. It's short term. I'm talking short term. Maybe the next week or two, we might get a bounce up to, your guess is as good as mine, but you have some resistance zones up in kind of this area, this 44.5 to 46. Right in here, because you have these previous local highs, you got your ascending triangle kind of support and then breakdown of that. So this is kind of be a resistance zone. If we get above here, or up into here, I should say, then that would be kind of time to get a little bit more cautious and maybe a rejection back down. I do not see any long-term bullishness in the foreseeable future, unfortunately. But looking at this, if we have a rally somewhere in there, but we can cover that more if this happens. Now, why do I say that? Why do I say that this looks like, a little bit more bullish than bearish? Well, remember way back last summer? See this? It's like a mini version of this almost, right? So you see this right here. This moved kind of down. I'm just going to draw this really quick here, right? You see this. I know it's a little bit hard to see with the Bollinger Bands. Bear with me. And then you can, whoops, let's delete that. And then you got kind of the move, you see the similarities here, right? Very similar. And if it's difficult to see other than all my moving averages and Bollinger Bands, then you need to start inverting your charts. And we talked about this last video. You hold on your keyboard, if you're using TradingView, this is TradingView, Alt and then I, and then you flip this chart, right? And you see this playing out here? See this? This is kind of like a rising wedge. More times than not, these will break to the downside. But, we inverted the chart, so that is upside. So look at this, right? So on the daily, right, zooming in here, loosely fit kind of rising wedge here, right? So more oftentimes than not, this will break to the downside. And, positive news is that is to the upside on the right chart, right? This is right side up. You just got to look at the prices if you get confused, right? Because sometimes you can forget that you inverted your charts and you're looking at this and this also helps you kind of avoid your bullish or bearish bias. You want to look at both sides of the equation, and what's better than both sides than actually looking at both sides? So short term, daily, could we have a move up here? Yeah, I could probably see that. Now, how high? Your guess is as good as mine, like I said, but we wanted to start clearing all these moving averages, get a bounce, something like this, right? See how the EMA 8 starts creeping through, and then you get kind of this nice little move up. Or we could just have the Hulk or the God Candle, whatever you want to call it, one of these things, to the upside. So could we do that? Yeah. Do we have to do that? Of course not. Nothing's have to. But the odds of this kind of moving, breaking this way over the next handful of days, I would say we have a good chance to do that. So just keep an eye on that. Watch your inverted charts, and that is that. So looking at where we're at, where we've hit outside the lower Bollinger Bands. So by definition, prices are low here. Maybe we are on the transition to testing the top of the bands again. So that's right now is around 42K. If we get up there and they're still kind of narrowing down and not opening, what ideally, if bulls want to see us be going back up again, be going is definitely not proper grammar, but we'll go with it. So something like this is what you'd want to see, right? As prices start moving up, then, we could get a little more bullish. However, just not super odds in the bulls' favor right now to get crazy. I would guess not a rally above that kind of resistance zone that we looked at, right? This kind of 44.5, maybe this underside tag right here, and this is all a big if, and this is if we have a rally versus a crash down, right? We're still leaning bearish on the macro term, right? We're in a downtrend, and you zoom out, guess what? We're still in a downtrend, okay? Now let's go out to the weekly real quick, then we'll try to remember to come back to the 5-day. So looking at this pattern, which we've talked about before, but if you've never watched one of my videos, we have this kind of move down, right? Similar to what we just looked at on the daily, but this is a little bit more bearish, right? You got this little doodad going, right? So you could kind of look at this as either a widening mouth pattern, which, my phone's ringing, hang on. Widening mouth pattern, or, you can, some people will draw this a little bit, more parallel channel and, look at it like a, what is that? That's a bearish flag, right? So either way you look at it, might look different. Flip it, right? Do the alt I. Now look at that. Now you would say, okay, that looks much more like a bull flag, right? And bull flags tend to break to the upside. However, we have this inverted, right? So that would tend to break to the downside. And, how far would that go? Well, you just take a measured move. This is how you play this out, right? From the top of the flagpole to the bottom, right? And then you draw it straight down right there. Have this on log scale, right? And then we'll zoom back in, and then you grab it, wherever you break out at, right? So it's like right in there. Let's say we do it next week, right? It could take a month more. But I mean, look at these price action here, right? We could break, subtly or not so subtly down to around 20K, maybe even more, maybe less. These don't have to play out. Just giving you, I would like the most information possible on all possible scenarios. If you don't want all the possible information, you're simply biased towards something, and that is not what a pro trader should be doing. You should be looking at all possible scenarios, always, in all ways. See what I did there? All right. So that's the weekly. The weekly's looking a little bit more bearish than the daily. But you know, it doesn't mean we can't, you know, revisit, right? Do something like this, pretend the flag is still there. Maybe we go back up again and test that top side, right? Before, you know, rejecting back down. Or, you know, maybe this is one of the times it doesn't play out. And we come back up here and everyone thinks we're going to do that. And then Bitcoin says, see you later, right? So what would that point be? What would the see you later point be? I'm glad you asked. Let's look at the daily chart again and put on the 200. The 200 simple moving average is where I would turn macro bullish. Right where we wicked off of last time, late March, right? If we start closing above the 200 simple moving average, currently around 40,000, 47.6, right? You see right there. If we can start closing above that with, you know, just even a couple daily candles above there, there would be a hard press case for the bulls to be back, and a lot of things would get going again. We just close above that, and you know, big things are certainly possible, but that's a big ask, right? That's way the hell up here. How far the hell? We are over 20, almost 22% away from that, so obviously that's a run. But you know, a couple hook candles away, sure. You could see how this would take some time, right? It's probably not just gonna, you know, double Hulk twins outside of here, right? So there's a lot of obstacles in the way. We got, you know, all these moving averages to get through. The weekly and the daily Bollinger Bands are the narrowest they've been in a long time, right? The weekly Bollinger Bands are the narrowest they've been since 2020. Let me take it off log scale. You can see right back in here, right? October 2020, when we had our explosive move, the bull run starting. And speaking of bull run starting, when will we know the bull run is starting? I'm glad you asked. Let's go back and put on the Gaussian channel, the 5-day Gaussian channel, right? We're red now. Is that good or bad? Well, if you had to pick one, it's probably bad, right? However, once it turns back green again, then we're good to go. Historically, anytime we go from red to green on the 5-day Gaussian channel for Bitcoin, good things are coming. So the odds are good things will come once we turn back to the green side. However, we don't know how long that's going to be. Statistically speaking, after you enter, right, we entered way back here for the first time. It's been 315 days since we've entered the 5-day Gaussian channel for Bitcoin. We tried to get out of it. You know, everyone started to get happy here. This is kind of a fake out, double top, right? So now the odds are, you know, if you take the average of all the times that we enter the Gaussian channel for Bitcoin's history, it's averaging about a year. So does that mean we have to get, you know, it's in 50 more days from now we're coming out of it? Of course not, right? We've lasted much longer. We've lasted shorter, just around the average. So that would, you know, that would put us at summertime still. But we're at the bottom, right? We have a lot of work to do to get to the top of the 5-day Gaussian channel. We have a 43% move we need to do as of today. Right? So let that sink in. That's 56K. If you see Bitcoin at 56K, there's some serious fireworks happening. Just unlikely going to happen anytime real soon. Just throwing that out there, right? You could probably, your brain could probably see that, right? On the 5-day, look how narrow the bands are here, right? And what do we know? If you've watched our channel before, you want your price action on top of the median line. Once your Bollinger Bands start to narrow and widen. So we're not there yet, but we're getting close. Let me turn off the Gaussian channel, make it a little bit easier to see here. Okay, so you can see how narrow it is. Now the danger will come if this mouse starts to open like that. You see that line going up and this line start going down. If our price is still under the median Bollinger Band right here, you can see it right now is around 41.5, maybe around 41K even. Let's see, I can't even see it myself. 41.2 is the exact number. So if this mouth starts to open and we're still under here, that's bad news, right? That's probably going to mean a drop. How far of a drop? Well, we looked at the weekly kind of bearish flag, but I've got even some better, more solid concrete news for you. The 200 week, right? The 200 week simple moving average historically is the bottom. That's where you want to go kind of all in. If you're waiting, you have some cash, you're frightened to death, and you're just waiting for a, you know, capitulation. If we make it down here, It doesn't mean it's the exact bottom, but that historically for the past decade, or I guess you can't even say that, right? Since 2018, right, where we held it, we wicked below it, but we've never closed below this. So, yeah, that if you have any extra cash and we get down here, that's the time to be deploying that. Don't try to wait for lower. Who cares if we wick down to 18 or something lower, or it doesn't matter, right? At least start DCAing right here, right? Not financial advice, but wake up. Okay, if we get down here, that is where a lot of massive amounts of big money will be coming back in. All right, so having said that, that is still a significant drop away. That's over 40% plus from here. So having said that, what do you think altcoins are going to do if Bitcoin goes down another 40%? Much more than that. Okay, so don't think it's not possible. If you think that's not possible, you were not around before. You think this time is different. They said that last time, right? This time is different. I mean, I've been around since 2017. I've heard it all, seen it all. It's the same, right? It's always the same. Nothing changes. The people that are saying that now weren't around for then. People that were around for then are not saying that. I would hope not. Jesus. Anything is possible. Do not tell Bitcoin it can't do something. It will prove you wrong. So also on the flip side of that, we don't have to go any lower. The low might be in. You have to have that in the back of your head as well. This might be the low. Is that the odds? Probably not, especially if this trend continues on the weekly, right? 1 weekly close under all the moving averages, 2 weekly closes, 3 weekly closes. We're working on our 4th. We close in 2 days, 8 hours. I mean, usually 2 weekly candles closing under the 8 is, spells disaster. Look back here. I mean, anytime in history, closing more than 2 candles. So you say, what about here? Well, we didn't close 2 candles. There's 1. Got right back above it, right? You want 2, and a chew. I don't know. So hopefully, this is at least giving you a big picture, short picture. Just trying to spread as much information as possible. Just kind of focusing on just the charts. Not really my opinion. Not my opinion, right? I'm interpreting the charts for you. That's what any pro TA person should be doing. They should be interpreting the charts and relaying that information and nothing else. Opinions are cheap. Talk is cheap, right? Just show me what I need to know. So, on the shorter term, I know I'm rambling here. I know I've lost probably 90% of people watching. But on the weekly, you see we've wicked down to right these areas. See these are alerts, right? These are my alerts, and they're on different time frames, but they'll show up across all the charts. So this lower one is for this low. If we break this, we're probably dropping to at least 35K pretty quickly. And then 35K is kind of these local wick lows. If we lose those, we're dropping probably to 30K pretty quickly, right? So just high alert. And if you want to know how to add alerts, just, for your benefit here, you right click anywhere in the chart, add alert, and then you can change this. If you want to know when we break 40,000 to the downside, to the upside, you can change that too. Crossing up, crossing down, greater than, equal than, right? You can do that. You can even set alerts on these moving averages. If you want to know when we're getting above the 8-week EMA, right click that and you can add alert right there. So just throwing that out, but we've wicked up to the right on it. These aren't coincidences, right? We've wicked up right to the 8-week EMA, now rejected back down again. It's just the more evidence for the bears than bulls would want to see. Okay, this is the glove fitting on OJ. Okay. All right. What else do we got? Do I got anything else? Did I cover everything else? 5-day, daily, weekly? Yeah, got some patterns. I think I did it all. If I missed something, just let me know. Just slap me across the face. I don't think I forgot anything. But yeah, I'm gonna look at this real quick. If you're still interested. Remember, way back we looked back here, right? The pattern playing out now and this pattern back here is not the same. So all these people calling for like a rally, like we had a rally back in last summer, right? After this kind of scenario played out. Well, look at the difference. Look at the difference, right? Invert the chart, right? This is a rising wedge. These are going to break to the downside. more times than not, and that's exactly what it did. However, right, falling wedge breaks to the upside, so inverted, and now look at this, right? Anytime you have a downtrend and then a small uptrend like this, that's danger. That is danger, right? You do not want to see this. So widening mouth, sure, you could say that. And guess what? A widening mouth pattern aiming to the upside more than often breaks down. A bearish, if you want to redraw it, more symmetrical, bearish flag, more than often breaks down, right? You can flip this any way you want to, but the odds of this breaking to the downside way more exceed than breaking to the upside. That's just the odds. That's not my opinion. That's this pattern. Okay, so anybody arguing against that, they're wrong. That's a fact. Okay, so throwing that out there, just forget your bullish narrative for the time being. Now, this is my own advice and my own opinion. Stop buying. Do not be buying things. This could get real. Okay, you have plenty of upside to buy if we get back above all these moving averages. You have plenty of upside. Okay, we're gonna get back there. It's just not this second, okay, or this minute or hour or week or month probably. Okay, now I don't know how long we're going to last down here, but what we could hope for is a quick wick, right? I mean, just a freaking massive capitulation and then a pick me up, right? And the faster we go down, the bigger we can come up. Remember the pandemic era, right? That was fine, right? Because we crashed quickly. The faster we crash, the faster we can recover and get this thing, back moving again. Okay, we want just rip off the band-aid and get going again. Okay, we want the Gaussian channel's already red. Let's get down to business. Buying underneath the Gaussian channel on the 5-day has and always will be a decent time. So are we there now? We're kind of there. We're starting to flirt, right? There's no guarantees that we go lower. Remember that. The odds are there. There's no guarantees. This could be the bottom. The bottom could be in. It could have happened back here, right? And we could be ready to go back to the upside. However, just the odds do not showcase that. A lot of evidence, more bearish downside, plain and simple. All right, quote of the day. Let's get to the fun stuff. You can't wait for... You're all saying, when does the fun stuff start? This sounds like shit. You can also learn to short and, not be a D-bag and, sit on your grandma's couch and watch Netflix all day. You could, pick up a book or a textbook. I have some of those recommendations I can throw out. And, better yourself and take advantage of the bear market and start shorting and make just as much money going down as you do go up. There's a bright idea. For the 4 of you still watching, you can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club. So this, right, case in point, right, played right into my little spiel there. All the people I know that are, don't like their lives or are waiting, just sitting around thinking something's going to happen to them. That don't work, right? You have to go, you have to continue, you have to have a passion for learning. And until you get that, you're probably going to be the same life. It's just gonna, you have to change if you want your life to change. And it sounds simple, but could be the most difficult thing, right? You're not going to keep working the same job, doing the same things day in, day out, waking up the same time, eating the same lunch, doing whatever you do every day and thinking your life is going to change. It's not how it works, right? Any successful person did something at some point in their life that's changed the path. It can be a subtle thing to start with. Start out with a little bit. Most people just try to do all in and then, get burnout and then quit. But it does take kind of an all in mentality to make that life change. So if you have a plan B, you're probably going to plan B, right? You have to go all in, burn your boats. You can't go back. And then you might have what it takes. All right. Car of the day, and it's a good one. The Koenigsegg 1-to-1. What does that mean? The 1-to-1. You see it right here? I can zoom in. Right there. First of all, I mean, this has carbon fiber wheels, so damn. The whole car is carbon fiber. You can have one for like $5 million if you got $1 million around. But the 1-to-1, so it weighs like 1,300 kilograms and it has 1,300 horsepower, right? See that 1-to-1? So same power as weight. Nuts. Okay, just throwing that out there. Probably in my top 3 hypercars. What's your top 3 hypercars? Mine are this one, the 1-to-1. I love all Koenigsegg's, but if I had to pick one, it'd be this one. The Lamborghini Centenario Roadster in the yellow there. That's another like 4 or 5 million. This one's about 4 or 5 million. And then the Pagani Cinque Roadster. What the hell did you say, Jace? Yeah, that. Maybe a couple of you know what that is. That's my dream team, the threesome. I can have, you can have all 3 of those for about 15 mil. Like 5 million each. No big deal. Yeah, that's hypercars. Hypercars and supercars. What's the difference? Over a million? Under a million? Supercar probably starts at, I don't know, what, a couple 100,000? I'll put supercars at 100,000, a couple 100,000. All right. Ramble's over. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. What are you doing this weekend? Nothing? Something? I don't know. I'm doing a bunch of stuff, but you're not gonna get to know. Maybe someday I'll just tape a GoPro on me and the life of Chase. Nobody would watch. Nobody's watching now. Yes, this shirt is that bright. It like reflects off of my head. I've been out in the sun a lot. I'm starting to get Trumpy. Getting like a little orange. You got Cybertruck up there, Lego Cybertruck, Lambo, Sion. Damn it. I can't ever know which way I'm pointing. It's reverse and backwards. Doesn't work out well. I got a good brain. All right, I would do more of these, but nobody watches anyway, and I usually get more negative comments than I would like. So for those of you watching this long, it's not you. It's you're trying to learn. If you're watching this far and you're not in Telegram, what the hell are you doing? Throw out some good stuff. All right.